This week's episode is brought to you by Capital Financial Advisory Group for all your retirement needs.
Broadcasting from coast to coast, it's the Financial Safari with your host, Coach Pete D'Arruda. You'll hear from some of the nation's top financial professionals. So stick around and find out how to make it through the jungle of the financial world, right here on the Financial Safari.
Welcome to the Financial Safari. Hope you're having a great weekend. Let's talk money. Jackie Selby, consumer advocate, and I have Coach Pete here as a guest on the show today. Award-winning author Coach Pete and the founder of the Financial Safari, now in its 15th year, and Greg Berrien, Capital Financial and Insurance. And we are going to talk, well, we do have a little bit of du jour.
We have du jour. It's like a hodgepodge.
It's a hodgepodge.
It's like a buffet of great ideas.
Okay. We thought we would hit the holiday theme just a little bit here. Maybe instead of Christmas past, Christmas future, let's move into the future, should we? Hey!
The future's always good.
Pete!
Now, correction, it's almost 20 years on the radio, 15 on TV. So
15 on TV.
Let's not write radio off. Radio's been 20 years, Coach Pete on the radio. It's just a funny world, isn't it? I mean, we go through these years, and then we get to the end of the year, we reminisce about what happened last year or this past year, and we hope it doesn't happen the next year, but then next year happens, and the same things happen to us over and over again. It's called this insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting what, Greg?
The same thing.
No, expecting different
things, rather. Yes. Exactly.
No,
You're
Greg,
going to get the same thing.
Already. No, it's just we have to know that we have to get with a planner who has our needs in mind, not their needs in mind. And that's why it's important to have a fiduciary planner, folks. Mm-hmm. Fiduciaries always put your needs ahead of their needs, and that's important. You have to have someone who's always looking out for you, not looking where they're going to put you.
Mm-hmm. You think that that'd be like, what a novel idea, but you think that would be the way everybody thinks, Coach, but it doesn't seem to be that way, does it?
Well, we've always followed the fiduciary standard in 32 years of the firm, and so to me it was no big deal to tell people about it and tell people what fiduciary is. I think people need to know that, and more specifically, folks, you need to know what you don't have and what you could have. So we spent a lot of time educating folks just like you on how to get, number one, on what you have, and number two, how to get that retirement you deserve. Exactly. Greg, you do a really good job of that when you sit down with folks and help them, number one, figure out where they are right now. That's the hardest part for a lot of people, is figuring out where they are money-wise. I've got this money here, this money there. What do I look like? I want to retire at this age. Can I retire at that age? Or am I going to have to wait years longer? Or can I retire sooner with more income? And there are ways to do that if you properly position your money, utilizing all the tools out there, not just the tools pushed by Wall Street.
Do you know what's awesome, Coach, is when after sitting down with a listener, week after week, and our repeated meetings, and then all of a sudden I say, okay, you can retire, and they look up and they go,
yeah, are you sure? Can you put that in writing? Of course, I do have that in writing. Right?
It's
called
so
your
awesome.
retirement plan.
It's so awesome when you finally give them, when you give them that freedom to be able to make that choice if you want.
Well, I'm a certified retirement income planner, so I can issue a seal of approval on the current plans folks have. But more importantly, we can put together a plan that has my seal of approval to give you lifetime income you never have to outlive. Even if your balance goes to zero, you still get a check. As long as you take a breath in, you take a check in, and then when you pass away, your spouse continues to get that check. And when both of you are gone, if there's money left, it goes on to your next of kin. If not, you've been getting free money for years. You've won the money game. And so that's the objective, is to win the money game, isn't it?
How sweet is that?
But it all starts with a plan, really. It does.
It all
starts with a plan. Sit down with you, Greg.
How important is it, Greg?
Oh, it's not important. It's critical.
Yeah.
Okay. It is so important to have that plan and to have somebody who's also willing to give you the hard answer. Somebody's not going to beat around the bush. And from upstate New York, I can't help it. It's like I think it's born into me to be able to give hard answers.
Well, I think that you do it quite nicely. On the radio show earlier, you were looking at me when you said you got to work till 70. I'm like, don't look at me. How did I get involved in this?
A lot of people work because they like to work, though.
That's true.
If work doesn't seem like work, then keep doing it.
People.
If work seems like play, then you keep doing it. If it seems like work or torture, then why are you doing it to begin with?
Exactly.
I mean, there's other jobs out there, folks, if you're not happy where you are. But you really should. I mean, life is way too short. We've heard this phrase before, life's too short. But life is way too short to be doing something you don't want to do.
Oh,
Really. I mean, every second that you can't wait for the day to get done, that's one day you've wished away. I want to enjoy every hour. I mean, remember at school where the last 5 minutes were always the slowest when you're waiting for that the clock to go from 55 to 3.
Especially in chemistry.
256. Yeah, and it didn't move. It didn't seem to move. But then as we get older,
the clock is broken.
As we get older, it's year after year that's flying by like
Truly.
those 5 minutes. And so the secret here is that you enjoy what you're doing. That's the only problem. When you enjoy what you're doing, time goes by really fast. So maybe you get a job you don't like, so life lasts a lot longer.
Yeah, it's funny, Coach. Folks always look at my gray hair and they say, how long are you going to be doing this? And I went, I have no plan to stop. You know, it's just, I really plan on working well into my 70s.
There's no rush to stop.
Why
if you
not?
like what
I'm
you're
having
doing.
a blast.
Yeah, if you like what you're doing, there's no rush to stop. I mean, really, that's the hardest part. The retirement dilemma people have is deciding when to retire money-wise, but also when to retire psychologically-wise.
Emotionally, yeah.
You're leaving your work family behind, and that's a divorce, really, because even though people say, oh, come by, we'll always be the same, go to lunch. You stop by a couple weeks later, they're not. They all have their own little conversations going, and within a couple months, you don't even feel well.
There's like 3 new people there that you don't know, and before next time you go back, there's 7 new people you don't know. Next thing you know, you're not going back anymore.
And so that's what happens. So do a trial retirement, take a month off, don't contact anybody from work, and see if you like it or not. That's a trial retirement. Take a month off. A lot of people have saved up, so use them, and it must be at least 3 weeks. Because after a couple of weeks, you won't miss anybody. But after like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you'll start saying, "Gosh, I miss talking to Johnny or Fred or Wilma, whatever." You never know until you try it. And so do that trial retirement. And Greg, more importantly, though, I think people should have their own plan put together so they can approach retirement on their terms. I know you do a great job with that. Do you have any plans you're giving away this week?
A personal plan we're talking.
Yep.
We're talking, when it's a plan is not cookie cutter. Basically, every plan that we have is designed exactly for you.
Customized.
And it is, exactly, it's customized and right to the point where we know exactly how much money you're going to have at certain points in time, certain benchmarks, how much money you're going to retire with or pass away with. And then, what passes on to the family, things like that, because that's really important. And first of all, also, Coach, you have to ask questions because everybody's different as far as legacy goes. Some folks, they want to leave as much money as they can behind to the kids. And some people want to leave $35 to cover the bounce check.
Yeah, I've heard both sides.
Yeah. And so therefore, and whatever folks want, that is to each his own. God bless you, whatever you want, and we will design this plan.
Well, that's the freedom of choice, and that's why having a total freedom retirement plan with a totally independent retirement planning firm. So we're not beholden to any company, so we're going to put together a plan that makes the most sense that we think for you and your family, not for us and our family, and sure not for your current broker and his family, or her family. So we need to make sure we get a plan that makes sense for you, and we need to tell you exactly why it makes sense for you. Not just, hey, this is a good plan, it's going to work. Well, tell me why it's going to work, how it's going to work, when will it start working? What's the magic about this? And once you can go through that, and are there any hidden fees?
Oh.
And if there were hidden fees, would you tell me about it? Probably not, right? So that's why you need to deal with a true fiduciary who can help identify the financial termites, which are unnecessary fees, risk, commission. But Greg, I stole your thunder, but tell folks how they can get their own plan done.
Folks, all you got to do is just give us a call right at the number at the bottom, and Joanna will reach out to you as soon as possible, usually exactly the same day. Joanna's on point, Coach, I'll tell you. And
it's important to get those questions answered and get that appointment scheduled so you can get on your path towards financial freedom.
Precisely.
Very important to get that worry taken out of retirement. Folks, call right now. The team will help you. The team will put you in charge and put you first and make sure to get a plan you can depend on.
Memories with Grandpa.
My first job.
My 4th job.
Crazy road trips.
Our first date. Meeting our son.
Exploring our world.
Our world. Family and friends.
Our special song.
Secure your retirement by meeting with a financial advisor.
This is Joe. Joe has a steady job, a house, and a family, but he doesn't know his retirement plan sucks.
Really?
He's paying high brokerage fees, and his retirement savings is not safe or protected. Joe might be screwed, but he doesn't have to be. Contact us today for your no-cost, no-obligation retirement review and second opinion package. When you call, we'll also include Coach Pete's best-selling book, 7 Baby Steps, that has helped so many better understand their retirement journey. Get yours today.
Today we have 1.1 million.
Okay.
Easy number for me.
Seems
Prime
reasonable.
Number makes it work. Age 63. But here's the kicker. I drew income immediately.
Oh.
So we're saying retiring the same year the plan's set up.
Okay. That makes things a little tricky.
It doesn't make it tricky. It doesn't make it tricky for us, Steve, but it does make it where it gives a better example of how truly the word, the foundation, the guarantees, the sleep well at night of the plans we do can go into effect. It is never too late to plan. I mean, there's, like we said earlier in the show, ideally it's 10 to 12 years out.
Of course.
But whoever does anything on time anymore. So,
so
we're looking at it immediately. So 1.1 million, 63 retiring immediately. What that does is that allows us to safely insure, worst case scenario, markets down for the next 30 years, 51,000 in income starting immediately. Wow. So a lot of people have the 4% rule, the new 3% rule, the 5% rule, all these numbers that they're looking at. But the thing is, you got to take into account sequence of returns. That's pulling from a down account. Well, when you have strategies that don't have that risk, the numbers start higher. So with what we're looking at here, we're looking at 51,000 immediately. That means over life expectancy tables at age 89, that said value, let's call it valued client, takes out 1.4, right under 1.4 million in income.
Wow. That's more than he had in there to start with.
And it doesn't matter how long he lives, the numbers keep going.
So even if he's one of these folks that lives over 100, 105.
This is just the spreadsheet gave me 30 lines, so I went 30 years out.
30 years out. All right, fair. Well, that's a fair retirement. That's pretty normal.
And that's assuming worst case scenario. Now, I did it a little bit longer. Just let's see what we're looking at if he goes to 95.
Okay.
That's going to be over 1.7 million in income.
Oof. And then what's left over?
And here's the big piece. If the market's down every single day, mathematically, that's going to hit a zero balance, but the income doesn't stop. That's the protections that are in place. Now, we can safely assume the market's not going to be down every single day. So let's go into let's say if the market did what it did over the last 10 years.
Okay,
let's use the exact performance over the last 10 years. Age 63, 1.1 million, 51,000 a year. That's going to increase year by year. As the market grows, it's going to increase, but if the market's down, it stays flat. The benefit of the plans and strategies is we're not giving up growth for safety. Over that same period of time, age 95, that income grew from 51,000 to 380,000.
Wow.
And that means that is $5 million taken out over that lifetime. Wow. From 63 to 95.
And that's just if the market mirrored the last 10 years.
Correct. And that leaves over 9 million in the account. Now, here's where I always say in the last 10 years, I do not expect the market to continue doing that. I do not expect the last 10 years to repeat because that's going to be over 13% annualized.
Sure.
But you do not have to give up growth for safety. The biggest misconception people have when they're working with plans, working with advisors, building guarantees, the core and explore, is they think they have to limit their upside. Risk tolerance is not what it used to be. The 60-40 stock bond rule is not the norm anymore. So with what we're looking at and diving into here, Steve, these plans, they're taking into account sheltering, they're taking into account protection, but they're also building that foundation for that standard of living. And that's what we like looking at here is something to build off of, but knowing if the Mad Max Book of Eli rapture situation occurs, that the guarantees that the protection are going to help maintain that income.
Go to yourmoneydesk.com. We have a treasure trove of resources on the site where you can explore concepts like this and just get to know your own retirement a little bit better as you head into it.
One other site is retirementhealthcenter.com.
Yes,
we'll put them on the screen here, retirementhealthcenter.com. videos, we try to keep them 4 minutes or less.
We do.
Because attention spans these days are about 4 minutes or less. And so, but they explain about anything you could ever thought of. We've done them on like everything from crypto to safe money to risk money to retirement income.
Both of these sites now have multiple calculators on them, so be sure to head over to yourmoneydesk.com.
retirementhealthcenter.com.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average retiree is spending more and more annually. With life expectancy on the rise, it's more important than ever to prepare or protect your financial future. Figuring out what you want in retirement is a very personal process. A person's future can be just as unique as their past. At the same time, there are some key elements to be mindful of when envisioning your retirement. What kind of life do you want to have in retirement? What lifestyle are you used to now?
Well, figuring out what you like to do, very important, especially if you're a husband and wife or spouses. I mean, you have to agree on what you like to do, because we have to know ahead of time, or you have to know ahead of time what you like to do, therefore you can have money put aside so you can do it.
If I'm talking to somebody in March, their bills and expenses generally in March and April are considerably lower than they are in November and December. So what we do is we have to look at an entire year's budget and factor in also any different lifestyle choices. You know, maybe they want to spend $10,000 a year in traveling, things like that. So you have to account for everything. You have to really look back, not just 1 month, but 1 year.
Once you've established what kind of life you want in retirement, you should ask yourself the following questions. How long will your funds be able to maintain that lifestyle? What strategies can you implement to make it happen?
The good news is we're living longer as a society. The bad news is our money isn't, unless we have it set up correctly. So one of the things we need to do is look at our family tree and our health, our own personal health. If we're not really healthy, we don't really have to worry about a long-term retirement plan, but we have to worry about other things if we're not healthy. But if we are healthy, the most important ally you can have is having that lifetime income check that you don't have to worry about. Because your health should be a blessing, but we don't want it to be a curse, because if you get to retirement and you don't have enough money to do what you want to do, it's not going to be that much fun. So let's make sure to put the fun into retirement and take the worry out of living in retirement by getting that income plan in place.
For a lot of people, the majority of their lives is spent taking care of others, from children to spouses to parents. For some, they spend their time with organizations and charity groups that create a positive community impact. It's important to think about who we'll be leaving behind and what we want to leave for them.
Legacy is a very important part, and most to all of the plans that we put in place. I very rarely run into someone that says, you know, I really don't care if there's a nickel left behind for any of my family in case something were to happen. You know, and even if they don't have, you know, we do have clients obviously that are single for whatever reason, widowed, just never married or whatever. So, you know, our approach isn't there a church or charity or something that would be important to you that maybe leaves some money behind as a legacy? But, you know, some cases, you know, folks, it depends on each client. That's why it's so important to have that individualized, customized plan. And if they come in and tell us up front, hey, a major league goal is to leave as much money as I can to my children, my grandchildren, and so forth, that's something we absolutely take into account, and something we would say, hey, this is one of our major goals and objectives. So we come over that last column and we look at legacy, what's left behind. We want to make that number as high as we possibly can and still provide that comfortable retirement.
Your future is important. Do you have a plan in place to make your savings last? It's never too early or too late to plan for your retirement. The team at Capital Financial is prepared to help you apply Coach Pete's tried and true step-by-step guide in planning for a successful retirement. If you need help jump-starting your retirement or simply want a second opinion, contact us today. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more great content.
We've all encountered that fast-talking salesman, whether it's buying a car, maybe a new house, and it can be very overwhelming.
I'm in the financial arena now 31 years. Wow. And so talking to folks every single day, and there seem to be the same problems that existed with a lot of folks. The same dirty tricks were played on a lot of different people. So I took notes, and I found all the warning signs, or all the ones that I identified, and all the dirty tricks that are played, and put them in a book.
To find out more or to get a copy of the audiobook, just visit fineprintfiasco.com and stay tuned because we have more content on the way.
Do you hear that? That's me enjoying my retirement. Traveling around the world to play golf, where I want, when I want, with whomever I want. Even got some customized clubs. Because years ago, I rolled over my IRA with the help of a local trusted advisor. Contact us to get started today. This is a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review to help educate and enlighten.
Welcome back to the Financial Safari. Jackie Selby, consumer advocate, and I'm here with the creator of the Financial Safari. 20 years ago on the radio and now 15 years ago on TV, Coach Pete D'Arruda. Hey, listen, Coach Pete and Greg Berrien from Capital Financial and Insurance. So we today on the show are going to talk about our, one of our scenario du jours.
Scenario du jour.
Du jour, because French. Now, this is a real person, but we really say that it's not a real person so that it can sound like it's not a real person, but it's a real person.
Now I'm confused.
It's a scenario in which certainly you can glean some good information about how this can apply to you. I know, I'm using big words today.
I know. First time, earlier today.
Well, they're hypothetical scenarios based on real people.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
We never use real people's information. We just hypothetically come up with plans.
Yes. Big
but it seems like a real person, even though it's not. So, but this could be you.
This could be you.
If the price is right.
Big Daddy to clean all this up.
Which is zero.
Yeah. All right,
Greg,
here's your fellow. You ready?
Okay, throw it at me, Jackie. I'm ready.
$500,000 inherited from a life insurance policy.
Sweet.
I know it.
That's hard. That's a hard way to get some money, but
doesn't need the money.
It's tax-free too.
Wants it to be a legacy for the next generation. Doesn't want to touch it.
All righty. Anything else?
Let's see. Tax. Wants a tax advantage.
Wants tax savings as well,
Yes.
while it's growing.
While it's growing. And it was tax-free.
Okay. We got this. Okay. What we're looking at, we have $500,000, $500,000. $500,000, and we're going to put this into a strategy that when it opens up, it will not open up with $500,000 actually.
What? No, wait a minute.
As of the broadcasting of this show, today it would open up with $590,000.
Whoa. That's big money.
Yeah. I mean, $90,000 right off the top. And here's the beautiful thing about it. Sometimes these bonuses.
Are we calling it a bonus?
They're going into like these income bonus positions, which is really not real money. This is going into the actual accumulation value of the account, number one, and number two, into the death benefit. So if something were to happen to this person, unfortunately something happened, he passes away, that beneficiary would now get not $500,000, but the $590,000 plus any earnings that it had.
Okay, I like this bonus business.
Yeah,
this is super heavy. So
that's amazing.
Are we calling him Mr. X? What are we calling him this week?
Well, Mr. X. We'll call him Mr. X. So Mr. X puts $590,000. Now here's the beautiful thing about this, and this is what I love, Coach, is it's going to grow on a tax-deferred basis. So if this makes $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, whatever it makes, it goes on. We're just kind of like moving that down the road. We're not worrying about it because he does not need the money. Okay. And so therefore it keeps growing on a tax deferred basis. It was Einstein that said, deferring interest is one of the great wonders of the world.
One of the 8 wonders of the world is compound interest.
Compounding interest. So this is compounding 3 ways. It's compounding on the principal, it's compounding on the earnings, and compounding on the tax savings.
What if he has to use the money after 2 years?
Well, here's the beautiful part about it. Okay, let's say 2 years later he says, something, the heck with it, kids, I want a boat. Okay, it's always me in a boat, isn't it?
What is with you in the boat?
I always go for the boat. Okay, I must want a boat.
N-O on the boat.
But so anyhow, if he skips a year, he can actually. Let's say after 2 years, it has, hypothetically, to make my math easy, $600,000. Mm-hmm. He can now take out $130,000 out of that. It has incredible liquidity options. You can take money out of this immediately if they wanted, or you can never take it out at all, because this is not what we refer to as qualified money, IRA money. So we don't have to do anything with that. And so, however, now the thing about it, any earnings though would be taxable.
Okay, I think that Mr. X might want to use this after a couple of years. Hey, that money's just sitting there and it is growing.
And who knows? The kids might make him mad. Who knows? But it's going to grow. But just for the heck of it, let's say he ends up sitting on this for 20 years, 85 years old. Mr. X does pass away, and now he is going to leave his youngins. I'm becoming really Southern. Okay, he's going to leave his youngins $1,649,083.
It's a lot of money. They're going to be happy.
That's some cheddar to be able to pass on to your family. That is a stunning amount of money.
With no tax implication?
Well, there's no tax implication on the original $500,000 on what we refer to as the principal. The earnings then would have a tax implication, but then that would be their issue to manage.
What happens?
And also, if they don't take it out, they don't have to spend it.
What happens?
They don't have to pay taxes on it.
To his family if Mr. X starts this strategy 2 days later, he unfortunately has met his maker?
Then $590,000 would go to his beneficiaries.
They get the bonus.
They get the bonus. It's 100% vested upon him becoming passed away.
Sounds good, Greg.
Yeah.
Yep. Jackie, tell folks how they can get their own done just like that.
Use the number on the screen. Get a hold of Greg and sit down with him and get your plan together. And if it is a situation where you are deeply interested in a legacy benefit, this is something that could fit your particular needs. We highly recommend that you use the number on the screen. We are the Financial Safari, and we have the founder of the Financial Safari with us on the show today, Coach Pete. Coach Pete, any final words for our strategy du jour?
Well, I just think it's important to make sure you have your own plan put together and make sure you understand everything that's in your plan. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I met with someone over the last 32 years who says, I don't know what I have, but here's what my advisor has put me in. And then we have to, Greg, you're nodding over there because it happens. We've had to have to sit there and then go back to square one and make sure you understand exactly the rules of money, the risk worlds, the safe worlds. There's two worlds.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a third world, combining risk and safety together to minimize or eliminate your downside potential, while at the same time giving you that maximum potential to have lifetime income you can never outlive. We call it a financial fill-up strategy. And if you don't have that, if you don't know the exact number, too, that you're going to be promised at the exact minimum, the guaranteed minimum you'll get per year for the rest of your life, guaranteed, never to go away, even if your balance goes to zero, you really need to know that. And we work around the worst case scenario too, like Greg will tell you that when he meets with you. But worst case scenario means it's probably going to be not what we said when you get there. It's going to be better. You're going to have more income, not less. We tell you the worst case income scenario. It's a whole lot easier to build a plan around that when we have to deliver bad news to you every year, where the bad news is that we lied to you and you have more income, not less, because we're never going to lie to you the other way. And that's a good financial fib when we lied and told you you're going to have less money than you're going to have, but we're not lying. We're telling you the worst case scenario. And if the scenarios don't end up the worst case, in other words, if the market doesn't go down every single day for the rest of every year until you take money out, you're going to have more money than we said you're going to have. Greg, is that a good scenario or a bad scenario?
That's a great scenario.
Makes a lot of sense. So give a call right now. I'm going to autograph some books, my Financial Safari books, to the people who they come in. Jackie, tell folks how they can do that.
Sure. Use the number on the screen. You can text. You can call, get an appointment with Greg, and you can do so by, jingle us, and Joanna will bounce back to you on appointment times. Hey, and Pete's going to autograph some books for you, the Financial Safari. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this weekend.